call to order the meeting for the Authority Salaries and Benefits Ad Hoc Committee meeting. Public comment. Is there anyone out there who would like to address the board on issues that are not on the agenda? I don't see anybody. So we'll move on to a selection of a committee and committee chair and vice chair.
I'm a Roman chair.
Yeah, you're wonderful.
Taylor secretary and Roman supervisor.
Yeah. Supervisor.
I'll get everybody with me. Do I hear a second? I get a second. Yep.
First and second, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. On to item 1.0, review of public policy matters related to authority salaries and benefits. Randall.
Yes, I'll be bringing this forward. Thank you, Chair Romick. Members of the inaugural Salary and Benefit Ad Hoc Committee. Well, thanks. We appreciate the opportunity to discuss further our compensation plan, provide you clarification on our compensation policies and our philosophy here at the authority. We also want to talk a little bit about that total comp study that we recently did earlier this year. Together with Martin, Ross, Randy, and I, we'll do what we can to answer your questions today. Depending upon the questions, though, they may take us. We may need to go back and gather some information and come back to you at a later date. But following a few introductory comments that I have, we would ask that the chair convene into closed session where we could discuss this further. The single most important decision that we make as a management team is who we ask to be a part of our management team. And we appreciate the board's commitment to provide us with the resources and tools to make us a relevant employer in our marketplace. On the other side of the coin, we also are sensitive and aware that the board's interest in the general landscape in regards to compensation of public employees. We're sensitive to that, and we want to have an open and frank discussion in that regard. Over the years, we have strived to find the right balance between paying our employees a competitive compensation plan while being fiscally responsible to the public. Some opening questions for us to think about today is, are we doing the things currently that make us an employer of choice? Are we falling behind? Are we viewed as a pay leader, a market rate employer, or a pay follower? How do we measure where we stand in those different categories? Let's start with how we measure, because that's probably something we're most familiar with. Approximately every 3 years, we work with a human resources consultant to gather data on our compensation plan, including salaries and benefits, and to gather data on other agencies, comparable agencies to the authority. Salary data is fairly straightforward. Okay, it's the benefits, right? It's the benefits that take further analysis to quantify those benefits into dollars. So we can take the dollars from the salary and the dollars from the benefits, add them together, and come up with something that we can compare on an apples-to-apples basis from one agency to the other. And we have a history of doing that. And most recently, we did a study in March 2014 and brought those results forward. And the conclusion of that study was that we're right where we want to be in terms of our total compensation plan. Now, total compensation plan doesn't cherry pick. It doesn't say pension this or medical that. It just simply says this is the total compensation that the agency is incurring to pay for this type of position in a public agency in comparison to the other public agencies. This isn't the first time we did this, have done a study like this. We did one in 2011. And that total comp study indicated that we were on mark, but we were slightly behind in some of the positions. So we made adjustments. We brought them up to where the market is. So what is market? We view that as being 5% either up or 5% below or 5% above that market median, and we're at 3.6. So we're within that envelope of 5%. So we're where we should be. We think that this study demonstrates that we are competitive in our compensation plan as a market rate employer. That's a new term that we're bringing forward to you today. A market rate employer is one that attracts high-quality employees, employees with a track record of success, employees with long-term and advancement potential, employees that function well in a team-oriented and collaborative work environment, creative employees to find solutions to problems that other agencies may struggle with. Other factors we believe are positive attributes to choosing the CCTA as an employer over other agency is the job location, the agency leadership with Randy's experience with Caltrans, the political climate, and we especially think that we're unique because we're a highly nimble organization that adds value to other agencies in our region. Other agencies come to us for help in solving some of their challenges. So as we discuss our compensation plan, we're mindful that compensation plans can be controversial, especially when it comes to employee benefits and unfunded liabilities and that whole subject matter pertaining to retirees. We're all aware that during times of economic prosperity, it was commonplace for public agencies to enhance their pension benefits in particular. And it was those same agencies that struggled when recessions occurred and revenues fell off, and they were looking at drastic cuts, layoffs, reduction in services, and labor givebacks. The authority, on the other hand, just to put us in some historical context, we did not overcommit, and we navigated through those difficult times. We delivered on Measure C, and we're delivering on Measure J. We did that by retaining a lower-cost pension plan. We have the 2% at 55 plan. We have some other features to that plan that are less costly in comparison to other plans. We've kept our staff numbers low. We have 20 employees today. We've incurred debt at historical low borrowing cost. Moreover, when cash-strapped public agencies couldn't afford, because they're having to make choices between whether laying off police officers or closing down fire stations instead of paying into their unfunded liabilities, we stepped up and we paid, with the board's support, $1.2 million towards our unfunded liabilities to retiree health care. That was unheard of in 2008 when we did that. In addition, we strategically aligned ourselves to pay 100% of our OPEB contributions each year, 100% of our pension contributions each year. Not all agencies can do that. We have the fiscal sustainability to do that. We've looked at our forecast. We have a forecast that assumes zero growth in our revenues, and we are still sustainable to stay within our 1% and our 3% expenditure limitations. So, that's just background, some facts that we want to provide you with. We believe that we have a sustainable compensation package the way it is currently. We look forward to this discussion, and as you know, we'll be back to the board next year, probably in the April-May timeframe, when we bring forward the salary and benefit resolution for the following fiscal year. But for our fiscal year that starts July 1, we already have that in place. So if there's any comments that the committee would like to make publicly, Chair, please do so, or we can convene into closed session.
Comments at this time? Dave?
More or less, just for clarification, I looked at the final report as a separate thing. I thought maybe somebody would be here, so I don't want to comment on that. Is there going to be, that's really the question, is there going to be somebody here about the study, or we're going to take the entire thing completely as one? Okay. I think the comment I want to make that really struck me as the eye-opener, and I don't know why I didn't know it, was a statement we're talking about before the meeting, that it's your last sentence on the paragraph before the bottom of page 2 of 5. The authority's track record clearly establishes itself as a market rate employer. That to me means you we are definitely a market. And have we been? Is this something that, because your top sentence under compensation says it's what we're looking at, and what I hope we're addressing is how we're perceived. Because I think that's kind of what we've been, I guess I should put these on and read it, but the question is, you're convinced we are a market rate, not a follower or a leader, whatever these names are.
Yeah, Commissioner Hudson, we do a salary and benefit study to find out exactly where we stand with our competitors. Okay. And so the previous study that was done in 2011, we had 13 comparators with our organization. If my memory serves me correctly, we were at 2.2% under the median. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple of classifications that were lagging behind. And so what we ended up doing was we implemented the CPI, and then we adjusted two ranges. One was for the finance manager, and the other was for the director of governmental affairs and community relations. That was your title?
Yeah, I remember the finance.
Remember that? Okay,
yeah.
So we adjusted those two. In the meantime, in the subsequent years, the board has seen fit to grant the CPI to subsequent salary range increases. Not a raise, but the increase the salary ranges of the various classifications that we use. So when we did the study, once again, the full comp study to take a look at salary and benefits, and based that on a dollar value, this cycle we were 3.6% above the median of the 8 organizations that we chose to, you guys approved the comp against. So that's what Randy was saying is it's the market rate employer, the term is within the sweet spot of 5% above or below. So we're 3.6, so right there. Yeah. And so there's other factors that help us attract talent, but that was one of the main. We're not exorbitantly, we're not pay leaders by any stretch, right? We're within that sweet spot. We're not laggers either. We're not pay followers.
Now,
so that's what he was talking about.
I believed it when I read it. I just wanted to hear it, that no, this is a pretty firm statement. You believe this is where we are. Also, finally, on page 5, I want to be clear on this deferred compensation. I'm trying to get an idea before we get into discussions. I mean, is this just a benefit that, 100 here, 100, I mean, what is this? And I want to get a feel of how important this is to 18, 20 people working here. Or is this just something everybody else is doing it, so we're doing it? Or where is this that with the same kind of firm, we're a market rate person?
Well, deferred compensation is a supplemental retirement income. It allows employees to take money that they earn and on a pre-tax basis and put it into a savings account.
Okay.
We provide an incentive for employees to do that. We match, we match up to $100 based upon the number of years of service. If they've been with the authority for 3 years, it's $100. If they've been with the authority for 5 years, it's $200. Anything more, we move that match up. So it's really an enticement for employees to set aside money.
How
it's
long
capped at
have
3.
we had it? It's more like, is this something we've had for a
we've
while?
had it for,
You've got a track record on value of this benefit?
Absolutely. We've had it in place probably since 2000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments at this time? If not, we will convene to closed session.